and welcome to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, your weekly dose of the top pro-life news and issues, all from a Catholic perspective. I'm your guest host, Debbie Cowden, filling in for Catherine Hadro while she's away. Thank you for joining us. In this week's show, the Little Sisters of the Poor are once again asking the Supreme Court to protect them from the HHS contraceptive mandate. We have analysis with their attorney, Diana Verm. An Associated Press article lamented that abortionist Ulrich Klopfer was vilified. We speak out. And this.
I begged God, I prayed my entire life that I would never have to bury a baby. And I feel like the Lord said, okay then, you can bury hundreds of babies.
We bring you the story of an apostolate serving mothers of miscarried or stillborn souls. But first, our top story. California Governor Gavin Newsom signs legislation requiring the state's public universities to provide abortion pills on campus. Senate Bill 24 requires the University of California and California State University systems to offer students chemical abortions in student health centers. The California legislature previously passed this bill in 2018, but former California Governor Jerry Brown declined to sign it into law. The new California law will go into effect in 2023. Joining us now from Los Angeles, California is Lila Rose, founder and president of Live Action. Lila, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Lila, what is your message to your governor, Gavin Newsom, about this bill?
It's an incredible shame. It will endanger not just teens and young girls on college campuses, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, but it's going to lead to the deaths of children. And these are going to be abortions in dormitories. I mean, young girls on college campuses where they are not equipped to care for early pregnancy, handing out RU40/60 abortion pill. These girls will then be self-aborting in their dormitories. They're told don't look at the baby once the baby is miscarried into a toilet, and they don't have follow-up care. They're not equipped for this. So it is a shame against both women's health. Abortion is not women's health, and this is actually dangerous for them. And it's a shame against basic human dignity, against the children that will be killed on college campuses. And also, the governor is forcing college administrators, college health staff to comply with becoming part of the abortion industry, to actually become abortion providers on campuses. So on a number of levels, it is a shame, and we hope, and we're working along with other groups to make sure that this law never does go into effect.
Well, who is pushing this legislation? Where did this come from?
So Planned Parenthood, unfortunately, and the abortion industry is very powerful in the state of California. You have a lot of pro-abortion ideologues. You have the supermajority in both the state assembly, the legislature, and then, of course, now Governor Gavin Newsom. He made it a promise during his campaign to do this for the abortion industry. This is trying to mainstream abortion even onto college campuses, despite the fact that there are abortion facilities within 5 to 10 miles of every public university in the state. So it's not that there's a lack of abortion. They're just trying to push even more abortion on students and send the message to students that somehow abortion is going to be the right solution to any challenges that they're facing if they do get pregnant, which is the completely wrong message. It's an insulting message to send to young women. So there's a huge, powerful abortion industry, and that's why it's so important that we fight back against it, because they are now putting not just preborn children at risk, but women and girls.
Exactly. And who is funding this law? Are taxpayers going to be on the hook for it?
The way the bill is, or the law is designed right now, is that the state of California supposedly has to raise $10 million by 2023 from private funds in order to pay for these abortions and the supposed infrastructure for them. The reality is, though, the state of California does, through Medi-Cal, already pay for abortion. So they can be pulling on state funds, on taxpayer funds, to fund first trimester abortions, second, and even third trimester abortions. So I think the pathway here for direct funding through college campuses for abortion is going to open up. And their goal of $10 million to raise for over 30 public universities, keep in mind, you need to provide an ultrasound for a girl in the first trimester. There needs to be steps to ensure that this is not what's called an ectopic pregnancy, that the baby is actually in the uterus as opposed to in the fallopian tubes, because the abortion pill, for 10 to 30% of girls afterwards, they're going to have to actually go and get care after an abortion pill, because it doesn't actually achieve an abortion. So there's a lot of other steps here, and I think that the money claims that they have in the law are really underestimated, and taxpayers will eventually be on the hook for this.
And California is the first state to enact a law like this. Do you think that other states are going to follow?
We're hopeful that no, other states will not follow that. If we fight back hard enough against this law and against conscience protections for healthcare workers on college campuses, that this law will not become mainstreamed across the country. But California really is trying to be an example for the rest of the country to be more pro-abortion and have this on college campuses. So we have to fight back to keep it, not just keep it restricted to California, but stop this law from going into effect.
And so what are some ways then that pro-lifers can combat this new law and respond to it? And not only that, but how can we help pregnant and parenting students on and off campus?
So first of all, conscience protections are really important. The California Supreme Court has already ruled that healthcare workers have rights to their conscience. And so anybody working on a college campus should not be forced to comply. So that's one legal angle that's important to explore. As far as healthcare resources and supporting pregnant students on campuses, there are hundreds of pregnancy resource centers across the state of California that are eager to help girls. I'd like to see legislation that connects those girls to those pregnancy centers, because right now, healthcare campuses that have healthcare centers are not connecting those girls to those resources. Instead, with this law, they would be pushing the abortion pill.
Lila Rose, founder and president of Live Action, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Prudence Robertson, a communications associate for the Susan B. Anthony List, joins us now in studio. Prudence, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Can you speak to some of the dangers of the abortion pill?
Sure, absolutely. So this pill is being marketed as the safe, easy, and near painless way to get an abortion, but in reality, women are being given this drug and then left to deal with the consequences and the severe side effects all on their own. After the abortion pill aborts the baby in the womb, the mother is left literally alone to pass her dead child. And I just can't imagine, being a young woman myself, the severe psychological, emotional, and physical trauma that woman must be going through, and in her own home. And in the case of young college girls in their dorm rooms, it just, it doesn't make sense to me. And the FDA has told us that over thousands of women have undergone severe side effects such as infection and severe bleeding. And at least 24 women that we know of have died after taking the abortion pill. And that's 24 women too many.
It is, absolutely. And are campuses equipped to deal with these adverse side effects that happen as a result of taking the abortion pill, sometimes in their own dorm rooms?
No, they're really not. I mean, Donna Harrison, a CLI scholar, has told us that 1 in 20 of these women are rushed to the emergency room after taking the pill because it's failed. And, that just goes to show that these universities are not equipped to take care of these women when they're producing this drug en masse. And women are going to be in severe and imminent danger if it continues to be produced in this way.
Prudence, you recently graduated from college not that long ago, so when we're talking about the abortion pill on campus, we're talking about your peers. Mm-hmm. What would you like your peers to know about the abortion pill?
That it could literally kill them. I mean, it's dangerous, and it's not what the abortion industry is telling you it is. It is not the safe, easy, and painless way to have an abortion. They're telling women that they take this pill and they're not pregnant anymore, but that's just not true. It will cause you to go into labor and you will give birth to a dead baby. And I just, thinking back to my recent years in college, would never want any of my friends or anyone that's my age to go through anything like that. And I think it's just so important that they know that we're there for them as the pro-life movement, and that there are so many other options than choosing abortion.
And we've seen that California is the first state to propose this legislation and even to go as far as signing it into law. Mm-hmm. Do you think other states are going to follow suit as well?
Well, there are some states that are extreme on abortion that have attempted to pass legislation like this, such as Illinois and Massachusetts. But across the nation, we've been seeing more pro-life laws being passed than ever before. I mean, just this year, 60 pro-life laws have been enacted, which is great to hear. And, you know, that's very encouraging and motivating to us in the pro-life movement. And it just goes to show that what's going on in California is extreme. And former Governor Brown in California actually vetoed this legislation, and he was a pro-choice Democrat. He saw that this law was unnecessary. But Governor Newsom, now that he is in office, he's an abortion extremist, and he's the one who signed the bill into law. And that just goes to show that elections on the national and the state level have consequences, especially with the abortion issue.
Absolutely. And so then what would you say to legislators who are considering proposing legislation like this?
I mean, just it's not what Americans want. It's not what women want, and it's putting women in danger. It's putting children in danger, and it's not something that should be supported, because ultimately it's, you know, going to result in a lot of women being hurt.
So then what can the pro-life movement do to respond to this law, maybe to prevent the law from appearing in other states as well? Mm-hmm. What can we do to make a difference?
Well, you know, we all have college students in our lives, and I think the most important thing as pro-life people in their lives is to have a presence and to be there for them when they find themselves in an unplanned pregnancy and they don't know what to do. These women often choose abortion because they're scared, they're lonely, and they think that they have no other choice. But there are lots of resources that are available to them that will help them to choose life. Students for Life has a fantastic initiative called Pregnant on Campus that provides lots of information about what's available to women who are pregnant on campus or parenting on campus. And there are other great resources like abortiondrugfacts.org and getyourcare.com that not only reveal the danger and, you know, the terrible aspects of the abortion pill, but also promote life and help women know and learn that there's so many options, and that, you know, we're here to help them. We're here to help them choose life.
Amen. Well, Prudence Robertson, Communications Associate for the Susan B. Anthony List, thank you so much for being here today to share your wisdom and your insight with us.
Thanks a lot.
There's less than 1 month until another open season for the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, begins. But before that, we need the Trump administration to take urgent action, because currently insurance companies are permitted to collect an abortion surcharge in a single payment instead of collecting it separately. This is a misinterpretation of the law put into place during the Obama administration. It means the abortion surcharge is hidden, so pro-life consumers might accidentally pay for this coverage without their knowledge. Fortunately, last year, an official in the Trump administration proposed a new rule change which would correct the interpretation of the law regarding the abortion surcharge. But that vital rule change has yet to be finalized less than a month from the next Obamacare open season, which brings us to this week's call to action. Go to ProLifeWeekly.com, where you can send an email directly to Russell Vaught, Deputy Director of Office of Management and Budget, and tell him to finalize the separate payments rule. Again, there's less than 1 month to go until Obamacare's next open season, so the Trump administration needs to act quickly to finalize this rule to ensure that pro-life Americans are no longer tricked into paying for abortion in their health care plans. Congress has failed to approve legislation to remove abortion from Obamacare, so we need the Trump administration to take urgent action. Here's how you can help. You can send your email message directly to Deputy Director Russell Vaught by going to ProLifeWeekly.com. Again, that's ProLifeWeekly.com to tell him to promptly finalize this pro-life rule. Turning now to our next story, the Little Sisters of the Poor are once again asking the Supreme Court to protect them from the HHS contraceptive mandate. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against the Little Sisters of the Poor in October, following a Third Circuit ruling in July against an exemption from the HHS mandate for the Order of Catholic Nuns. The mandate, put into place by the Obama administration under the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, requires employers to offer health insurance plans covering contraceptive and abortifacient drugs, both of which violate Catholic teaching. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Little Sisters in 2016, and the Trump administration issued an executive order in 2018 protecting the Little Sisters. But several states are still suing the nuns to take their exemption away. Joining us now from Washington, D.C. is Diana Verm, senior counsel at Becket, the religious liberty law firm representing the Little Sisters. Becket also represented EWTN in its lawsuit against the contraceptive mandate. Diana, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Can you walk us through the latest developments in the Little Sisters case?
Sure, so to take us back to the beginning, in 2016, the Little Sisters of the Poor went to the Supreme Court asking for a religious exemption from the HHS contraceptive mandate, which would have required them to include in their health plans all FDA-approved contraceptives, including drugs and services that could cause an early abortion. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Little Sisters. It protected the sisters from the fines that the government wanted to impose, and it sent the cases back to the lower courts and told the government to find a solution that would work for everyone. The Trump administration came in, and they did find a solution that would work. They issued a religious exemption for all religious objectors. That should have been the end of the story, but over 20 states have sued the federal government, asking them to force nuns to provide contraceptives to their employees.
So what are the next steps then for the Little Sisters?
Sure, so the Little Sisters have intervened in those cases and have asked the courts to continue to protect them from the HHS mandate. The Third Circuit and the Ninth Circuit Courts of Appeals have ruled against the Little Sisters, and so they're back at the Supreme Court asking the court to protect them again from the HHS mandate. The court should consider whether or not it will decide the case this winter, and hopefully we'll hear the case in the spring.
And what are the implications of this case for religious liberty?
So this case is about whether or not the Little Sisters of the Poor can receive an exemption from a neutral law, and it's important because it means it decides whether or not, if the government can force nuns to provide contraceptives to their employees, it can force us to do anything at once. And Pennsylvania and some of the states have argued that the government shouldn't be able to provide religious exemptions in lots of situations, so the Little Sisters are really standing up for religious exemptions in lots of cases.
Diana, why should non-Catholics be concerned about this case?
This case is important to all Americans because if the government can force nuns to provide contraceptives to their employees, what can the government do to you or me or to any American? And it's also important because the states are arguing that the government can't lift a burden on religious exercise that it itself has imposed. So that really threatens the idea of religious exemptions for all kinds of religious objectors.
Exactly. And what would you like to see the Trump administration do then to protect the Little Sisters?
Sure, so the Trump administration has issued this religious exemption and they are defending it in court. I'd love to see them continue to defend it, and I look forward to working with them in the case as it goes on.
Diana Verm, senior counsel for the Becket Fund for Religious Liberty, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
When we come back,
We came across these costs that were just beyond what we could even fathom.
we bring you the story of an apostolate serving mothers of miscarried or stillborn souls. Stay tuned as EWTN Pro-Life Weekly continues after this break. Welcome back to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. I'm Debbie Cowden, filling in for Catherine Hadro. An Associated Press article lamented that the deceased abortionist Ulrich Klopfer, who kept thousands of preserved baby remains on his property, has been vilified. That's this week's Speak Out segment. The article, entitled "Doctor Who Kept Fetuses is Vilified in Life and Death," revealed that Klopfer competed with other abortionists to perform the most abortions. He also reportedly once requested that police officers pour acid into pro-life protesters' eyes. Yet the article struck a sympathetic tone, describing Klopfer as, quote, constantly embattled. The preserved baby remains were discovered on property belonging to Klopfer after he died last month. Despite this article's best efforts, Klopfer is not the victim here. The unborn children and their mothers are. All the sympathetic press coverage in the world can't change that. Klopfer didn't need any help in terms of vilification. He did that on his own. But what Klopfer does need is for pro-lifers to pray fiercely for his soul. No one, not even the most prolific abortionist, is beyond the love and mercy of Jesus Christ. We all need God's love and mercy. You, me, and yes, even Ulrich Klopfer. And remember, there is something you can do to counter today's culture of death. Follow this week's call to action. Go to ProLifeWeekly.com to send an email to Deputy Director of Office of Management and Budget, Russell Vaught, to finalize the separate payments rule. October is National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. So, in honor of the occasion, Catherine Hadro brings you the story of an apostolate serving mothers of miscarried or stillborn souls. Here's this week's Pro-Life Focus.
I vividly remember that first day just being very wrought with emotion and upset.
When a woman learns she's pregnant, she dreams of meeting her unborn child face to face, but she never dreams of this.
We were expecting our third child, and it was an unexpected finding in our doctor's appointment, my 16-week doctor's appointment. I was 4 months along, and the technician couldn't find a heartbeat, and then the doctor came in, and neither he could find a heartbeat either.
Colleen Sullivan shares after she and her husband learned she would deliver their miscarried baby, panic washed over them.
And then I woke up the next day and I thought, how are we going to bury our child? How are we going to get the remains of our child to bury? Where are we going to bury our child? Where do I start?
Burying a baby was something the Sullivans didn't prepare for. Like other families who experience miscarriage, they were building a crib, not a casket. It was at this critical and vulnerable time a new apostolate entered into the Sullivans' lives.
I begged God, I prayed my entire life that I would never have to bury a baby. And I feel like the Lord said, okay then, you can bury hundreds of babies.
Cara Palladino is the founder and program director of A Mom's Peace, an apostolate serving mothers of miscarried and stillborn souls. The group was founded after Palladino's own encounter with loss.
When I was expecting my 7th child, I learned that the baby had died. And when my husband and I went out to inter that baby, we came across these costs that were just beyond what we could even fathom.
She experienced firsthand the many questions families face immediately after losing an unborn child, ones that many parishes and parents cannot answer.
I usually will get a phone call, more often from a dad than a mom, because he's trying to care for her and the family, and he doesn't know what to do either.
A Mom's Peace, which is completely volunteer run, helps families at no cost put together a proper burial for their baby, one that reflects the dignity of the unborn child's life. 4 years after Palladino launched the apostolate, we meet at one cemetery where they've helped roughly 100 babies be laid to rest. The amount of lost lives speaks to the great need for a mom's peace.
It is very much a silent suffering. It's like a secret sister loss club.
A good friend of mine kind of mentioned this as the sad sisterhood that you join when you lose a child. And it was a beautiful way for me to see that there's really a network that's building and that can help each other to grieve together and to heal together.
Deacon Gerard Marie Anthony also serves with the Mom's Peace to help with the burial services and to provide spiritual support.
Amen.
These Catholic mothers underwent both a testing and strengthening of faith throughout their miscarriage journeys.
The journey with God has been hard. It's built a lot of more trust, and after first losing our son Gabriel in 2015, I kept feeling my heartstrings in prayer being just told, trust me, just trust me. That was very difficult to do because we then had 2 additional losses. Being asked to trust in a very real way, knowing that as a Catholic it's very important us to be open to life and wanting to have more kids. But as Cara has told me beautifully, and which I hold on to and know, when you're open to life, you're open to loss.
You have to get up every day and give it to Mary. And Mary knows what you're going through because Mary lost a son.
Nearly 3 years since her first miscarriage, Colleen Palladino says she has found peace, and that's why she now gives back as a volunteer with the group.
There are many of us who want to help in different capacities, whether that's, helping you to get the remains of your child to bury, whether that's coaching you through the grief that comes afterwards, whether that's praying with you, and being part of this sad sisterhood.
Though A Mom's Peace serves this sad sisterhood, the founder of the group says her hope is to ultimately serve our Father.
I don't do this in my name. I do this for God. I do this in the name of the church. I do this for the mother who needs the help. I do this for my sister in Christ.
That does it for this edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Until next time, be sure to reach us at prolifeweekly@ewtn.com or connect with us on social media. Just search for EWTN Pro-Life on all the major platforms. And remember, life is a gift. Your life is a gift. God bless.